15 years ago, my XBF and X BFF cheated and got pregnant, and my family was shocked. I ran away from home and cut off all ties with them. Now, my mom wants me to make peace with them. 15 years ago, my best friend, 18, got pregnant by my boyfriend, 33, of 3 years and 20 months, and my family knew about it but didn't tell me, so I ran away from home. When we reconnected 15 years later, my 33-year-old mom, 59, demands that I my relationship with XBFF and X BFF. It's a long story that really started about 15 years ago, and it really affected my 33-year-old life, so please bear with me. When I was 18, in my third year of high school, I really believed that my life was on the right track. I lived with my parents and 4 siblings, aged 23, 22, 20, and 14. I spent most of my time with my best friend Ashley, 18, and my boyfriend Kyle, 20, who I had been dating for 3 years. Ashley and Kyle's parents were good friends of my parents, so I had known them both since I was a child. We often celebrate birthdays and holidays together, and since we live in the same town, we visit each other a lot. Ashley has been my friend for 18 years, and she is the person I trust the most. Sometimes our parents joke that we are connected by our hips because we are always together. I have been dating Kyle for the past 3 years. I believe he is the love of my life and the person I will eventually marry. We were very serious, and we even talked about getting married. He was just starting his sophomore year in college, and I was focused on going to college. But I was also content with the idea of marrying Kyle and becoming a housewife. My parents loved Kyle and supported our relationship. I was really happy. I should probably mention here that my 20-year-old sister was also dating Kyle's 23-year-old brother, and we were very close as siblings. On the first day of school, I noticed that Ashley was very melancholy and a bit distant. After some prodding, she told me she was pregnant. I was very surprised, because I didn't know she and her boyfriend had broken up not long before, and I didn't know there was anyone else in her life. I asked her who the father was, and she didn't want to talk about it, but hinted that her ex-boyfriend was the father. She was very sad, so I stopped pressing and just comforted her. I was there when she told her family. Her parents were disappointed, but promised to support her no matter what decision she made. They tried to get her to name the father, but she refused and asked me to promise to keep it a secret. They knew she had a boyfriend. I was there for her for the next 9 months. I went with her to the ultrasound and to the doctor. I was there when she was bullied at school because of her pregnancy. I helped her decorate the baby's room. I was there when she was sick or in a bad mood. I threw her a baby shower and went shopping with her. I even went to parenting classes with her. We chose the name together, and she even asked me to go into the delivery room with her. I did everything I could to support her because I realized that the pregnancy was really taking a toll on her. She is my best friend and has always been there for me. 2 weeks before her due date, I was at the mall running some errands and ran into her ex-boyfriend. Even though I had promised her that I would never contact him again, I was furious when I learned about her current emotional state and confronted him face to face. I accused him bluntly of abandoning his pregnant ex-girlfriend and leaving her alone and uncared for with her unborn child. I was very critical of him, told him that he had become a New Yorker, and said some nasty things, mentioning that maybe I should ask Ashley's friend Kyle if he was the father of the child. I didn't give a damn about what he had to say. Kyle and Ashley had been friends for life. We had always been very close because of our parents, but that evening they never showed any signs of going further. That night, my 14-year-old sister and I were getting ready to go to a movie. I started yelling at her, questioning Ashley's ex and his words. My usually straightforward sister became silent, not responding to anything I said. After a while, she excused herself to go to the bathroom. I decided to get a snack and went downstairs to the kitchen, where I heard my sister berating my mother. This part of the memory is very blurry, as I was emotional. My sister told my mother that I had run into Ashley's old lover, told her what he had said, and told her that she didn't want to hide it from me anymore. Kyle was the father of Ashley's child. I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I stumbled into the kitchen and demanded an explanation. My mother and sister looked white as a sheet when they saw me, and my sister started to cry her eyes out. My sister explained something to me, and I later learned from others that before the summer ended, Kyle and Ashley had attended the same family reunion, got drunk, and slept together. Ashley was pregnant and told Kyle, but they were both too embarrassed to tell me. They also didn't tell their parents, but Ashley couldn't help but tell her parents, who in turn told Kyle's parents, and then my parents. It all happened in the first trimester of Ashley's pregnancy, and by the third trimester. My siblings, Kyle's siblings, Ashley's siblings all knew about it except me. I couldn't explain how I felt, and for the next 3 days I was too sick to talk to anyone. My parents apologized, but they explained that they didn't want to see me get hurt or ruin everyone's relationships. I didn't speak to Kyle or Ashley, even though they kept calling and texting me and coming to my house. At one point, I refused to see them. Kyle's mother came to our house, and my mother let her into my room, where I was lying in bed, still not feeling well and depressed over the betrayal. She tried to convince me to forgive them and told me that Ashley and the baby needed me. I said nothing. 2 weeks later, Ashley gave birth. I learned from my parents that her delivery had been difficult. She had lost a lot of blood and had needed an emergency C-section. Kyle was apparently there for the birth, and I was so distracted because of their betrayal, because I had planned to be there, but now I couldn't be there for physical and emotional reasons. Because I had been looking forward to this moment for months for so many reasons, because my sister immediately went to the hospital to be with her boyfriend, and none of my other siblings were home, so I was left with my parents. I just wanted to lay in bed, or snuggle with my mom in bed and cry about all I was feeling. My mom got a call from Ashley's mom, and she came into my room and told me that she and my dad were going to the hospital. I was confused and asked her to stay with me. She said that Ashley's parents needed as much support as possible and that we would discuss everything later. Then I tried to tell her not to go, that I needed their support too, but she said not to be selfish and they left. I was left alone at home, unable to understand what had happened over the past few weeks. I couldn't believe that my parents would go and support someone who had hurt me in my time of pain. Was I really that selfish? I don't know when, but my sadness turned to anger, something I had never experienced before. I packed my bags and decided to leave home. It didn't take long before I started to hesitate and felt empty sitting in the living room. After a while, I received a text message from my sister saying that Ashley had given birth to a healthy baby girl and that they were both doing well. She attached a photo of the newborn and told me that they had named her Sarah. That was the name Ashley and I had chosen together a few months ago. After a while, she sent a second text message telling me that my parents and she would be going to the town bar with Ashley and Kyle's parents to celebrate. I don't remember much after that. I think I was so overwhelmed by everything that I had a very hazy memory. I left, took the train, stayed at a hotel in Phoenix for a while, got a job at a store, and planned to finish high school there. My parents, siblings Kyle and Ashley tried to contact me. My mom sent me a panicked voice message asking me to come back, and they reported me missing, but I didn't think it would do any good because I was 18 at the time. Soon after, I met Dean, 21, who also lived in Phoenix and had complicated relationships with his family. We quickly became friends, and he was a big help to me at the time. I struggled with how to take care of myself and how to really be an adult. He introduced me to his friends and helped me finish high school. I moved in with him and his friends, and he helped me deal with the pain. I struggled a lot at one point and felt some remorse. I wanted to see a therapist, but I definitely couldn't afford it. He stayed by my side, supported me, and helped me through everything. I don't think I would have made it without him. A year later, we started dating. He inherited some money from his grandfather and decided to move to the biggest city in the country. Even though we hadn't been together long, he asked me to come with him. I hesitated a little because we both had a lot of emotional baggage and I still felt very insecure about my situation. But I went. We moved to a new place, found jobs, and tried to survive. Shortly after my 21st birthday, we decided to get married. It was a crazy, spontaneous decision, but we did it. I went to university, and Dean helped pay for my studies. He started his own company, which grew really well, and we became more comfortable. I studied and worked part-time to help out. We had our ups and downs, but somehow we got through it. After university, I started working for Dean's company, and we slowly grew it. Looking back, I don't think we were in love when we got married. I loved him, but not in love, but he has always supported me unconditionally. Now, I feel that I can't love him more. He is mine. We have been married for 12 years, and we have a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old son. Sometimes I regret leaving my family, but I just can't go back, and it's very painful. I feel like my parents chose Ashley and Kyle over me. I did go to a psychologist when I was 25 to try to deal with my emotions. At the beginning of the pandemic last year, I received an email from Evelyn, a 14-year-old girl. She explained that she was my niece, the child of my sister and Kyle's brother. She knew me and wanted to meet me, even though I wasn't willing to talk to her. We did exchange some emails. What struck me was that she had no idea what had happened 15 years ago, so the conversation was very innocent. We talked about her school interests, and she talked about my family. I learned that I have 10 nieces and nephews. I also learned that, for years after I left, Kyle married Ashley and they had 2 sons. Apart from Sarah, my parents continued their friendship with Kyle and Ashley's family. For me, despite my absence, my family still lives a normal life. She tried to talk to me about what happened, but I really didn't feel obliged to explain myself to her, so I just said that relationships change and that things in life had happened that had parted us. We continued to keep in touch frequently by email for almost a year. In January, she expressed to me that the pandemic had had a huge impact on her whole family, that my parents were struggling to make ends meet, and that my 2 younger brothers had also lost their jobs. I was surprised that she knew about this, as she was only 14 at the time. But the difficult life has also led to tension between her parents. I began to feel guilty and regret. Having a child made me very emotional. I talked to my husband, who was very supportive and told me that he would support me no matter what decision I made. Our financial situation is stable, and the pandemic has had little financial impact on us. We are not rich, but we live a comfortable life. After learning some details and talking to Dean, we decided to help our parents solve their housing problem. A week ago, we flew back to my hometown. For the first time in 15 years, I saw so much emotion for the first time in 15 years. Regret, the pain of the past, the feeling of betrayal. My parents must have felt relieved when they saw me. It was a strange day. We had long conversations and agreed to try to establish some kind of intimacy. It's been a long time, and I sometimes feel very awkward around them, and sometimes they feel like strangers. Dean and I stayed there for a week, and we continued to talk. I really believed we were building a friendly but distant relationship, but my mom started insisting that I sit down and have a serious talk with Kyle and Ashley. She explained that she wanted to get back to the way things were before. I told her that I refused to talk to them, even though I had moved on. I have no relationship with them now, and I don't want to relive the past with them. I told her that I was prepared to try to build a relationship with them because they are my family and I really do care about my nieces, but I don't want anything to do with Kyle, Ashley, or their families. I never asked them to stop being friends, but I don't want that. Dean supports me. My mom says I'm selfish and says I have to try to fix our relationship. I told her I would not compromise and that it was up to her whether she wanted to have a relationship with me. She said yes, but 2 days later I got a call from Kyle's mom. Kyle's mom. I hadn't given her my number, and she demanded that I must talk to Kyle and Ashley because my leaving had caused tension in their relationship and affected their emotional well-being. I hung up the phone and called my mom to question her. Apparently, she had given the woman my number in order to repair our family relationship. I told her that once again she had chosen them over me. She cried and yelled at me, saying that I was selfish and that she just wanted to restore the family bond. I hung up. Despite my mom and Kyle's mom kept calling, despite the fact that I think I was right and I think I should prioritize my own happiness as well as 100% support my husband's happiness and joy, I hung up the phone and told my mom and sons. I started to feel some regret. I don't know if I should have listened to my mom and talked to Ashley and Kyle. I doubt if I overreacted. 15 years ago, I questioned myself if I was really selfish and didn't actively fix the relationship. I would appreciate any advice or comments on what to do in this situation. All of a sudden, I'm questioning my life trajectory. I'm lost and don't know what to do. Update. 2 years later, April 15th, 2023. Oh my God, it's been 2 years since I posted this. A lot of people have been asking me. Update. First of all, I want to thank all the lovely people who have sent me updates and sweet messages. I really appreciate it. A lot has happened over the past few years. It's not perfect without these 100+ pages. I never mentioned my little sister. Her relationship with her parents had deteriorated after I left home, and she stopped speaking to them when she was 20. I got her number from our older sister, and although it was awkward at first, it's been 15 years since we started talking again. She was very angry with me for leaving. A lot had happened in her life, and it wasn't easy. She had a toddler and a baby, and I have to say that the children helped us to reconnect. She is my best friend, and we talk every day. As for my other siblings, I keep in regular contact with my 2 brothers, although we don't have a close relationship. We didn't speak for a while last year because she married Kyle's younger brother, and she had a hard time dealing with our family disputes with their family. Now we are on good terms, and I have a great relationship with my nieces and nephews. I didn't attend my niece's birthday party because it seemed too hard for me at the time. My parents were a bit of a write-off, and I felt like I was 18 again, reliving all those bad emotions. My mom kept pestering me not to speak to Kyle and Ashley. She called and harassed me for months, even after I had come home. She became unhinged, emotionally blackmailing me, accusing me of not respecting her wishes, of not solving her friendship problems and health issues, and even of not letting her see her grandson last June. Having a daughter seemed to completely enrage her. I'm talking about 100+ calls a day, a text every 20 minutes pestering me about inconsequential things, sending me updates about people I don't want to know about, her starting to harass Dean. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was afraid to block her, so I told my father about it. It was probably the first real heart-to-heart we'd had in 17 years. Looking after 3 kids and everything else was exhausting, and I probably poured all my feelings into him. I don't know what happened to them later. He rarely talks about it. Her calls slowly stopped, and something else must have happened, because in August he filed for divorce. My father and I keep in regular contact, although I don't think we'll ever get back to normal. Mom had a breakdown in August, and her calls became crazy, obviously not just to me. I've had a new number since then, and she hasn't been able to contact me since February. One of my brothers told me that she has anxiety and depression and has lost a lot of friends. I don't know if she's still in touch with Kyle and Ashley's family. I don't want anything to do with her anymore, and I don't want her anywhere near my kids. She doesn't really know what happened with my husband and I, and we haven't been in contact for 15 years, so her words are crazy. Although I regret not having a mother, I feel that trying to repair the little relationship we had left would be a waste of my emotional energy and pure torture. As for Kyle and Ashley, as I mentioned in my original post, I received a call from Kyle's mother, but I blocked her and haven't received any calls from anyone else. I really don't know what they're doing or where they are. I've never contacted them. The only thing that really happened was that in August, when I was on the downward slope, Kyle's brother brought me a letter, apparently written by Ashley. I didn't open it, and I really don't know if I want to. I feel like I've moved on from them, but on the other hand, I'm curious what she has to say after all these years, which in itself could evoke bad emotions. I'm doing well with my kids and Dean, who has been very brave in this. I'm trying to focus on my family, and I really want this to be in the past. Thanks again to everyone. If anything else happens, I'll update as soon as possible. New update, May 21st, 2023. Dear everyone, I don't know if anyone will read this message, but in the months since I posted my update, I've received many words of advice and support. I can't thank you all enough, but I know your words really mean a lot to me. I try to respond to everyone, but sometimes it takes a while. There are so many questions in these messages that I can't answer right now. I plan to update soon so that I can quickly answer the most common questions. I haven't read the letter. Shortly after the update, Dean and I decided it would be best to give the letter to my therapist to let him decide when and if I'm ready to read it. I haven't spoken to my mom since the update. I got messages from her and Ashley's mom on Facebook. The first time I got a message from Ashley's mom, I didn't even read it. I temporarily logged out of my Facebook. Kyle and Ashley tried to contact me through any social media. I only know that Kyle once asked me for an address or phone number, but Bill refused them. At this time, Ashley gave him a letter, but Bill refused him. They have not been in contact. The ATM shows that they are separated, but he doesn't know if they are divorced. My dad came to town last week. He didn't know my address and has never been to my house. It was the first time in almost 20 years that we had a frank conversation. I must admit, it affected me a lot. I was not in a good mood for the next few days, but it was necessary. I learned a lot about my mom. A lot of people tried to imply that her past experiences must have made her the way she is. In between them, I learned that Ashley was pregnant and I came back 2 years ago. This is something I need to process, and it may take me a long time to accept. There are really a lot of things going on, so I'll have to write a separate update. My sister is not at fault, and I've never blamed her for keeping secrets from me. She was just a teenager, and she knew it was wrong, but after I left, our mom put a lot of pressure on her. Our lives were hell, and our mom was unbearable, blaming her for everything that went wrong. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. Many of you have also left a message for Dean, and he has read it. You are right, he is the best, and without him I probably would not be where I am today. Please thank your family for their support when you are going through a difficult time. And of course, call your parents and siblings on these occasions and tell them how much you love them. We realize that we underestimate the good people in our lives. Thank you, and I hope that you are all well.